I prefer the coffee.
What up, though? It's your boy Coffee back with another one, and right here is RAQI THUNDA throwing a space. Yes, y'all know y'all been seeing her getting back into her bag. She about to get back into that podcast, talking, speaking, putting her voice out there. And I know if y'all haven't seen the episode she did with Danny from the Stop, y'all can check that out on his Patreon. But this clip I have for you guys is Dr. MARC LAMONT Hill joining her space. And they had a few questions for him. They try to see if, if he's the best co-host on the Joe Budden podcast. They also try to see if he's going to crash out and is he a panderer. So y'all give me y'all comments, y'all like, subscribe, enjoy, man. Let's go.
He's speaking to you, Daniel.
He's not the boogeyman. He
Daniel,
can't shoot.
I understand that you and your podfather are insecure at times when Dr. MARC LAMONT Hill comes in the building. I do appreciate you being prepared and ready.
He's back.
You talking about
The
me?
boogeyman is back.
I heard my name again.
To the building.
Overrated as Kendrick. He says overrated as Kendrick Lamar, man. Hyping this man up.
Since the topic of the title of the room is what is your issue? What is your issue with the good doctor?
I don't have an issue with Sparky. I'm good.
You do. You do have an issue.
Sparky.
You have an issue.
She gave this nigga the good doctor like he the honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Let it be what it is. The honorable Dr. Lamont Hill, welcome to the stage. How are you?
Black
I'm
power.
good, sis. How you?
Wagwan.
I just tapped back in. I heard my name. I wasn't listening. I don't know what y'all was talking about. I just heard you and Danny going back and forth. But I just tuned back in. What's going on?
Oh, a few people were in here talking about you. First of all, they don't appreciate how I honor your greatness.
Oh man, you.
Oh my God.
I appreciate the love. I think you call balls and strikes. Everybody ain't gonna agree, but I think you try to be fair.
I do. I'm raw, but I'm fair.
And I assume the luster's gonna wear off, and I'm gonna say some shit that's gonna make a lot of people mad too. And I'm ready for that too.
Yeah, you have in the past, and I think I speak to the fact that initially I was off of you before you came onto the JBP. There was a few stances that you've taken. One in particular with Candace Owens. I was like, oh, what the fuck is he on?
I don't even know what I did. You gotta tell me that one later, I guess.
Yeah, it's very loaded.
It was the men can have babies thing or whatever. That's what I think.
Why does that set so many people off? I said trans men, but why does that set people off so much?
Rocky, I ain't care. I don't know.
I think
Rocky's the one.
Well, I think you were playing a word game.
I think people didn't watch the interview. We were talking about trans people, and it wasn't like I just randomly said that. We were talking about trans people, and then she said, "Well, trans," and I said, "Well, I respect trans people's right to identify themselves. Trans women are women, trans men are men." And she said, "They're not women because they can't. Can women have babies?" I said, "Trans men can." She said, "Can trans people have babies?" I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." She said, "Can men have babies?" I said, "Trans men can." And it's true. It wasn't that I was trying to play a word game. I was just saying, like, I affirm people's right to identify the way they want to. If my daughter tomorrow or my auntie, decided to identify as a male, it doesn't mean she can't have a period anymore, that she can't have babies. But I'm not going to deny. I'm not going to say because you can have a baby that I deny your right to identify as trans or as a male. Like I don't. I think to me, it's just not my business. I let people live their life and do what they do.
Absolutely.
Shout out to my trans.
No, I got mad because I forgot that trans men are actually women biologically.
Well,
so
I didn't want to admit that. but I was getting confused by the gendering for a while. That trans man shit always used to fuck me like, what? Yeah, so you got us there.
Well, that's I was gonna say 90% of the people that get mad at me, like when nigga walked up to me on the street, I thought we was about to have to fight,
shit.
and he was like really angry, like I really was about to get into it, and that almost never happens. And I was like, bro, like, do you know what a trans man is? And in their mind, they thought I was saying like people born with penises were just gonna like birth babies out of their butts or something. And it's like, no, bro, I'm saying,
Right,
Oh
because
my goodness.
it's almost it's not new, but trans men really are like the unspoken gender in this whole thing,
yeah,
right? So it's a trans women who typically have the mic and have the voice and are the ones
no pun
always
intended.
fighting for
Yes,
space. But when you hear trans man, you typically think of a man who is trans. but it's not. It's actually the opposite. So
Exactly, and that's why I say 90% of people are mad because they don't actually understand. Because when I say it to them differently, if I say like you walk into a group of you walk into a maternity ward and people are having babies and some of them identify as men, can they still have babies? They're like, well, yeah, of course. I'm like, that's a trans man. That's all I'm saying.
right. Did you go in knowing that there was going to be a huge misunderstanding?
No, I went to Candace to talk about George Floyd, but what Candace does is she just pulls random shit out. When she's losing a debate, she just changes the subject. So
Mm.
she was like, oh, George Floyd, you kick a ass on this. What about affirmative action? What about trans people? What about the Knicks? Like she'll say anything to to win the argument.
What do you feel
How's
about
that?
her debating style?
Um, it's not my cup of tea because I feel like it's too combative and not in good faith.
Right. Were you
But
uncomfortable?
second,
Were you uncomfortable?
no, I wasn't uncomfortable at all. I just don't like it. But you know, I worked on Fox News for years. You know, it's more like I don't like doing this. Like I don't want to do it. I don't want to do this often. But like it, you know, it's whatever. People do what they do.
Right.
Mark, if you could have a podcast, would any other like person that speaks on the political front, like who would you choose to
Does it
have
have to
one
be
with,
political? Anyone, just open the
or just
space.
somebody that you think will balance you off well that you see out there? Who would you have one with?
Hmm.
Bomani
That's an
Jones.
interesting. That's an interesting question. I mean, Bonnie's dope. Bonnie's super dope. Balance is an interesting question because some people think like ideologically, and that might be it.
Don't
Um,
start with those big words, God damn it.
you know, it's like I don't know if I would want like I don't want to do political podcasts, right? So I don't know I would just want to be with somebody interesting. Honestly, like I mean, Bonnie would be dope. I think Van Lathan is somebody I would love to do a podcast with, and we've
Okay, if you
talked
could
about it.
put together a super group of 5 people.
Oh, that's easy. It would be me. It wouldn't be five, probably like seven. It'd be
Damn.
me.
Dylan.
Joe Budden
It'd
Power.
be me, Joe.
Wait,
I'd be
let
me,
him get it off.
Joe Button, um, Ish, Amani, Mel,
Oh my God. You're
and
about to
Flip.
get boomed from the room.
Nah, fuck out of here.
I
Hey, what
told
you?
That
you
was
it
the
was gonna be
safest.
Let me
And
call you a
Dylan.
panderer. Come on, keep it real,
Don't
man.
See, that
start
ain't
this shit.
pandering. That ain't pandering.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
me having fun.
That is not your all-star cast.
Come on, you
Stop.
man. I mean, come on, man. Even Imani wouldn't
This
say
is
that.
I'm just having fun. I'm just
That's
having
the right
fun, y'all.
answer, though. Y'all can't be
It,
mad at him for answering it like that.
no, I'm just having fun. I'm just being
no one's
silly.
mad.
Yo, that
I
However,
don't.
I can see Joe, I can see Van Lathan. Who else? Give me 2 more.
What does Joe speak articulately on
Let him
to
have.
be with him at Van
Wait,
Lathan?
let him answer.
I think I'll tell you the people and I'll tell you why. I think it would be Joe for sure. Joe is I really enjoyed the show before I was on it. That's why I watched it and started following it. But
Mhm.
when you work with Joe up close, you realize how like brilliant he is at this shit. Like there's no cap. This is no like he really is good at this. Um, and it's not just that he brings experience and knows music and knows has strong opinions on and insightful opinions on lots of shit. It's that he's a pro. He's like a pro's pro. Like there's a way, and anybody out there who podcasts or broadcasts in any format knows the difference. Like he's a beast. You know what I'm saying? And he's like another level. Like everybody on the show is great, but he's like a different level than all of us. I think. I would say Van Lathan because he's smart in this way. You know how some people are like smart to stupid people.
Mhm.
Van is like smart to smart people, even though he's not traditionally trained like that. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like I
Mhm.
remember, he asked me, he called me one day and asked me questions about Palestine, and then he went and like I recommended a couple books that like only other scholars read, and he like went and found them, like dug up in a library and read them cover to cover, like shit that like people that should be doing that don't do.
Right.
It would be
I
somebody like
appreciate
him.
that.
I like I would throw Wallow in there.
Jesus Christ.
I'm from Philly. I got a bias, but Wallow is dope. Wallow Wallow is dope, and you need different kinds of people. I would throw in.
He's good.
Uh,
He's good.
I would
Shut up,
throw
What
in
you
Joe.
think
Amanda.
about Tamika Mallory or Don
Can
Lemon?
he give up?
I would throw. I like. I mean, I love both of them. They're my people, but I would. I was going to say I would throw in Amanda Seals.
Whoa.
She's
I think
fire.
she's so
I
dope.
like her.
She's so dope. Who else would I throw in?
People hate
I feel
her.
like, yeah, I mean, Amanda's family to me. So you know what I'm saying.
You take this family shit too far sometimes, Mark.
Yeah, nah, I fuck with Amanda.
I mean, I think she's dope too. I think she's super talented.
No, she is talented, but I think her talent takes a hit every time she applies her personal opinion that's skewed due to arrested development in some emotional areas. But other than that, she's
Oh
cool.
wow.
I,
Oh my
I don't.
goodness.
I don't share that analysis, but I'll move it off her and just say it would be I don't. There's so many dope people out there. You know who I just discovered who I find entertaining as fuck. She's from Philly, real light skinned sister.
Mona, don't call me white girl. Yeah.
Yeah, yo. I haven't seen a lot of her, but what I've seen the last week, I've only been on to her for like a week. I'm
You've
like,
only been on to her for a week. That is crazy. Yeah,
yeah,
she's fine.
I was embarrassed to that I didn't know who it was. People thought I was joking when I was like, "Is she from Philly?" Because I was like, because she had a New York hat on when I first seen her, and I was like, "Yo, like she talk like she from Philly," and they thought I was being funny. I wasn't like
Oh, she is super Philly.
super Philly, and I
I
love
thought
that.
she was from New York too.
What?
Ah, dog. Listen to her talk for 10 seconds.
Oh, she's Philly down. Yeah, I love her. She's completely raw. Doesn't give a singular fuck. I still think she's slept on as well. Um, I don't think the situation where she's at, where her the platform that she's on is doing her justice. But yeah, see
Mm,
her elevate at some point in time.
Breakbeat Media. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I don't know that world very well.
Breakbeat, who is owned by Dave Mays.
From the source. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Dave, man. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, but no, she's super dope.
Danny, I was thinking about you today. How is Patreon treating you? I was listening to your whatever you put out this morning and you were saying you were sending people over to Patreon. I'm going to sign up myself. And I'm asking this, and if anybody else has an answer too, I just know Danny's doing it. How is Patreon as a kind of membership place as opposed to like YouTube?
Well, I think Patreon keeps less of the money than YouTube, which is I think Joe favors it.
Okay.
I really like Patreon. I think it's good. I think the company has solid engagement methods. Like you know how like when you sign up for stuff, they'll send you like emails like, "Hey, keep and posting," but what they send is actually of substance. Um,
Okay.
and also you could connect the Discord to it, and it's pretty cool. I like it.
You
Yeah.
Is it
speak
hard
to
to redirect people?
yeah.
Because the reason I do membership on YouTube just because I'm like they already here and I don't want to lose them, even though I know they take YouTube is like stealing money and yada yada yada. Is it hard to redirect people over to the Patreon?
It is, but it's worth it. I mean, Joe, because he's so great, do that, but not. But it was really hard to. Like, I speak with shows that have a million subs and be like, yeah, I gave up on Patreon because it's like not meant to migrate, but you really got to
That's
put
my
work.
fear.
Yeah,
I'm
Okay.
surprised. I'm surprised you don't have one.
Well, because again, like my YouTube channel is largely fun. Like most of my YouTube money comes from memberships, not from views. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so I'm scared to move people because I'm like I don't want it. I don't want people to. You know how people keep a membership as long as they don't have to change. I don't want
Hmm.
to like
Mhm.
go over to Patreon and then I end up losing everything.
You should try it though,
Yeah, I know.
because being that you're on Joe's pod, a lot of those people are conditioned to use Patreon, so it might work.
Oh, and they're already in that
And in
universe.
some way, wouldn't the algorithm highlight him, Danny, since he is connected to the JBP?
I don't think the Patreon algorithm is like YouTube, whereas like you look at the thumbnail and they're like, "Oh, you love this shit." It's not like that, but I get there. They're working towards it. I was thinking like because of Mark's visibility on the pod, people were like, "I like Mark on the pod. I'll subscribe to his Patreon." That might work.
They do. They do have a suggested creator
Right,
spot.
right,
So
which is the
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah, they do,
they do
but
have. They do.
I don't think it's as I don't think it's like to where they suggest shit that's like completely like that thing that you like. Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah,
Agreed.
yeah.
Church
Okay.
talking about people acting different with motherfuckers. You are agreed. When have you ever used agreed?
I use it all the time.
Boom
And
him from
listen,
the
Mark,
stage, Danny. I'm tired of his shit.
listen. I got a quick question. Don't try to act to see that. That's what
Here
I
you
was
go. Here
talking
you go.
about.
Agreed. Take 10
That
minutes.
listen,
Take 10
listen.
minutes.
We have a guest. Let's.
He needs he needs a moment of silent meditation. Mark, how do you feel about the new narrative going around the JBTV community, but they're saying Joe may be intimidated by you, a little insecure, because you are one of the smartest and the best hires recently.
I know 1000% that that's not true. You know, Joe is um super welcoming. You know, when he and I sat down to talk about doing this show, I think he had an idea of what I was going to contribute, and you never know exactly what it's going to look like till it happens. You know what I mean? But I
Hmm.
think he had an idea, and I had an idea what it was going to look like, and I think we're hitting our stride where it's looking like kind of how we planned. So I don't think there's any surprise there, but also like, and again, this is something you kind of have to see when you're doing it. Like we had an episode today, and it's like Joe, I think appreciates taking a step back sometimes and be like, all right, Mark, you ask these questions. Mark, you carry this for a second. It gives him a second to breathe and actually think it makes him a better
Right, which
podcaster.
is something I observed in the highlights recently, where he kind of takes the back, tosses his glasses on, and kind of leans back, which is kind of like he deserves that after a decade of
Yeah.
hiding. So that's that's dope that you can fill that void. I don't know too many people on the show who could actually pick up the way you have.
I think they all can. I just think I've been
You
doing this a
don't
long time.
never let me get my shit off, Mark.
I think everybody can. I think everybody does it in different ways. I mean, I've been doing this a really long time, and even though I haven't been like doing this kind of podcast for a long time, I've been hosting for a long time. So it's just a particular skill set that I'm able to do at a certain moment. But like, there's moments where Flip is carrying it for long stretches of time. There's time where Ish is engaged and carrying it for a long amount of time through debate. Mel is doing it through bringing up news stories. Ice is doing it by bringing in music and engaging music. You know what I mean? Everybody engages in their own way, and I think it looks dope. But I mean, I'm glad to be a part of that. You know what I'm saying? But trust me, Joe ain't where Joe knows he's the best in the world at this.
See, the thing
And
is with you though, you engage in all topics for the most part. Apparently, I don't watch the full, but it seems like you're able to
I think you watch
roast.
more than you say.
Say again.
I think you watch more than you say.
Well,
I,
no, we
I
tell
mean,
her
well,
about the
Here's
clips.
the thing.
That's what it
There's
is.
can
Okay.
I need everyone to calm down. Um, how these highlights work, right? The
Hmm.
JBTV chops up the entire podcast, and I get every bit of the podcast, but in 10-minute increments, which is pretty much how I can digest podcasts of that length with so many mics and so much insignificant information involved. Um, but the highlights that I do get, I think you're phenomenal in that space. I think you and Joe both play off each other very well. I like how he's able to take his foot off the gas because you're there. But again, your approach to things, you're able to roast. I've seen you also help out Mel in areas where they're saying, "Oh, she's being dogpiled." You tend to step in and save her. Um, I really
I
love.
echo her already strong opinions.
Say again.
I echo her already strong positions and opinions.
It comes off as pandering sometimes, but I appreciate it though. A raft is necessary sometimes when you're drowning. Um, but I love
Oh my
Ups.
goodness.
I love the fact that you can actually get into your personal bag. The Was that an exclusive story about your meeting your daughter for?
I
Yep.
mean, exclusive is interesting. I mean, it was never a secret. I mean, people know who know me. You know what I mean? And I've talked about it, and yeah, you know, it just honestly, it came up in the flow of the conversation. So sometimes there's moments where if you don't weigh in, it almost feels dishonest,
Right.
and so it felt like this. I would have felt weird not saying anything. So it was more like that. It was more like
So
just
did
the
you feel
flow of
like
the
this was
conversation.
like a great reveal, like the expose that Danny's been wanting on you?
No, I don't think so. I didn't think about that. Like, it wasn't a secret, so it doesn't feel like a reveal to me.
Okay, but this is the first time you talked on it on a media talked about it on a media platform.
Public
I've talked
platform.
about it on I've talked about it on the grill before, and I've talked about it in speeches before. But I've just never told the whole story because I mean, podcast kind of only place where you can tell a
Oh
17-minute
shit, the
story.
grill. Sorry, that just because I remember I got an email from your team. You guys wanted Wallow on the grill at one point.
Yeah,
Sam and Ty. You know Sam and Ty.
yeah. Ty's my sister. And I know Sam well.
Ty
Yeah,
is my sister and Sam is my brother. I knew we had folks in common. That's my family.
there you go. Well, then if you love Ty, then you
Oh
know.
God, how can you not love Ty?
Yeah, exactly.
Impossible. She's just,
Impossible.
oh my God, just a gem to this earth. Um, yeah. Now, what was I going to say from there?
I have a
I got a quick question
oh,
for Mark. It's kind of random. Did you ever pay Joe for that bet that you made?
Yeah, I cash apped him immediately, but then I had told him before I was gonna bring him cash, so then I went to the bank, got because I know how he likes to spend it and where he likes to spend it, so I got as many. I got him a duffel bag, not a duffel bag. It wasn't that much bread, but like
I
what I
was
mean.
about to
I got him his 5 stacks in cash and gave it to him.
What was
Oh
the
mad
bet?
man.
Eagles.
salute.
What
That's a
was the
good
bet?
man.
We bet on the Sixers versus the
But
Knicks, who had a
This,
better record.
yeah,
Mm.
who's gonna have the better record at the end of the season? But when did you like give it up? Like, all right, this is kind of
Like 3 weeks ago. I mean, I could have gave it up 2 months ago, looking at the trajectory, but I was like, I'm not just gonna give away money. There's a time value to money, so I'm not just gonna give up the money before I have to. I'd rather, you know what I mean. But it wasn't enough money to trip about, so I just gave it to him.
All right.
Mark, I wanted to just ask one question. Did you see the Patreon on the pod back where Mel did the Val Kimmer RIP segment?
Yeah, I watch every episode.
Okay. Like, did you feel like they needed you right there in that moment? Or like, did you
No,
feel like they could get better at that?
no, I thought Mel did a great job. I thought everybody picked up and talked about, the different movies he was a part of and what he means. And again, everybody's got their own style. I do a more traditional eulogy, but I think what they did was actually more interesting.
Oh my God,
Uh,
you're so good at this.
Mark is a pro's pro. He's not going to talk about his team and
He's
any
like a Chat
disparaging way.
GPT
I mean,
for the
he
JBP.
won't. He won't. But
That was kind of funny.
I think the way Melissa Ford did the Val Kilmer thing wasn't the best. But I wanted to ask about your integration or onboarding into the pod. How did Joe kind of
Yeah.
say, "Hey, man, I would like you to be on the pod"? Is there like a meeting? Does Ian hit you up? What goes on?
Um, what happened? Well, he asked me to come on as a guest, and I came on. I don't remember how that happened. I know what happened actually. I do. He had called me. We were having a random talk. In this business, people like, oh, you should come on sometime. Oh, we should do lunch, like that kind of shit. And he was like, yo, you should come on the show sometime. And I was like, whenever you want me. He was like, how about this Friday? And I was like, sure. It was like one of those few moments where both people really meant it. And I came on and did the show. Who wasn't there? I think Ice wasn't there because I was sitting in Ice's seat. Yeah. And then
Mm,
it was just, I mean, it was the reason he asked me to come in that day was because Ice was already going to be out. There's no like thing there. It was just, and then the
mm,
next time I came, Ish wasn't there. I came in that summer. He asked me to come by, but in the summer, Joe had hit me up and asked me just what I thought. We just met up to talk about possibilities of working together, and we were kind of thinking of kicking around a few ideas from maybe the podcast and maybe doing a whole different project. At the time, I was really interested in doing something different, um, and just creating something new from scratch. And ultimately, after he said, well, we said we would continue to think and talk. And then I did the show that Friday, the day Ish wasn't there. I think he was on vacation. I'm sure he was. And then it
mm.
became like, yo, to me, from Mark. Mark said to himself, like, yo, this is kind of fun. Like, I'm really enjoying this both times. This feels like a space I want to be on. And I had just moved to Jersey, and I was going through Jersey, and like that the next week, like 3 or 4 people stopped me. It was like, yo, I seen you on the podcast. Usually when people stop me, it's like, yo, you that nigga from that Cheesecake Factory thing, or yo, I see you on VH1. It's like there's a specific thing that black people stop me.
Who's that? Coffee?